Hey Joe and Joettes, it's Joe with the Carnivore Consciousness. I started the carnivore diet as the 90-day challenge. Needed to get my life back on track. I was drinking too much. I was eating bullshit. I knew something had to change. Within 9 months of being carnivore, I'd lost between 50 and 65 pounds, reached to about 15% body fat. Started training consistently. I'd never felt or looked better in my entire life. But once I started getting past the 15% range, and especially the 13s, my energy completely dropped. My mood became completely inconsistent. My weight loss stalled, and eventually the training just fell off. I tried adding in more foods. I tried more electrolytes. 10 months into carnivore, I added in coffee. I love coffee, but then it was butter. Thinking that anything I did would fix this. None of it did. Carnivore didn't fail me. Couldn't have. I'd been completely transformed. If it was gonna be sustainable for me, I was gonna have to change the way I did it. But before I explain what I changed, I think it's important to explain why I trusted the system so much and why it truly wasn't the system that failed. It was maybe me and the way I was working the system. I started it because I needed structure. I was drinking a lot. I was eating poorly, obviously, that goes with drinking. Doing construction, you're pounding down monsters, eating gas station food, coming home, eating pizzas, drinking more monsters. I needed structure. My life was pretty much out of order. Habits they felt out of control, and they were. I mean, I was able to pay my bills, barely. I was tired of negotiating with myself. I needed an outlet. Needed something that was simple and strict, and so that's why it's like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do 90 days. No coffee, no dairy, no complicated recipes, just easy decision making. Really started to realize early on in the carnivore was that the mental fog had lifted. I woke up. It was an awakening. All of a sudden I just wasn't depressed anymore. I felt like I had more control over me and my emotions and my reality. And then before I knew it, I was just training and moving consistently, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, dude, this is crazy. I built discipline, I had routines. All these things just started stacking up. And most of all, I just began to trust myself as a human. That was unbelievable. Those benefits of the carnivore are unbelievable. The results kept reinforcing this awesome carnivore system, which for me was basically Lion's diet, and it was 1 meal a day. That system brought me to 60 pounds lighter, reached 15% body fat. Never looked that good in my life, bros and broettes, or Joes and Joettes. Training just became consistent. Dude, the list goes on. The simple system kept producing positive evidence for me. For nearly 10 months, reality kept giving me evidence that the system worked. So I trusted it completely. When the evidence eventually began to change, I wasn't really ready to accept it because I had transformed my life. I was still disciplined. I was still strict carnivore. I was still following the basic routine, training. I wasn't abandoning the system either. I was still doing what had worked, but I wasn't getting the same response. What I noticed first was my energy would be great one day. Other days I felt flat. Energy became unpredictable, and I couldn't understand why. I started noticing mood changes. More flat and more irritable at the beginning. Didn't have that giddy up that I had in this first 10-month journey. Nothing crazy dramatic at that point. Still would be kind of emotional. Next thing that started teetering off was the training and recovery. The workouts became harder. Recovery really slow. My motivation and physical capacity stopped matching each other. That was hard to deal with. The training just eventually falling away. The fat loss stalled. My progress became inconsistent. I started adding things that I didn't need before. The coffee came in, the large amount of butter, and the heavy cream came in, larger portions. I kept trying to force my body back into the version that had worked before. What if my body wasn't failing? What if it was asking me to do something completely different? My first assumption wasn't carnivore stopped working. My first assumption was I needed more food, I needed more fat, I needed more electrolytes, I needed caffeine, I needed to push harder. It was important to try to preserve the old system. So as I said earlier, steak portions got bigger. Butter became outrageous. It's up to 8 sticks. The heavy cream, I was going through about 2 pints a week, 5 electrolyte packets a day. And coffee became the normal. It wasn't just in the morning, it was 2 times in the morning, on both breaks at work, when I got home from work, right after I was done eating dinner. Literally just stacking everything to get back where I was. What actually ended up happening was everything got worse. None of it brought me back to where I was in the beginning. It brought me further to my new goals. I'd spent all my time trying to recreate the past instead of understanding what my body was trying to tell me. Why the fixes didn't work, huh? Yeah, I was asking that too. I just assumed I needed to eat more. I assumed that I needed more fat. I assumed I needed more electrolytes. I assumed I needed coffee. You know, and despite all of those things, I still had the energy fluctuations. My recovery stayed poor. Motivation was really inconsistent. I couldn't lock back on, you know what I mean? Fat loss definitely didn't restart. So I pretty much stabilized between 17% and 15% body fat. It was devastating. The real problem is that I was trying to force my body back into the version of carnivore that it worked for me like for so long. I was trying to recreate the past instead of paying attention to what my body was telling me in the present. Once I stopped chasing another fix, I started asking another question. Learning to observe. What is my body trying to tell me? I've been asking the wrong question. What should I eat? What supplement should I add? How much coffee should I drink? But what I really should have been asking is, what is my body trying to tell me? And carnivore for so long, we're clean here, guys. Come on. So something's up. Finally, observation replaced reaction. Started paying attention to the things we've already talked about. My energy, my mood, my recovery, my hunger, my sleep, my performance, and daily consistency. Instead of like waking up and saying like, okay, I need this or I need that, I asked myself, what pattern am I seeing? My body wasn't betraying me. Problem wasn't carnivore had stopped working. Problem was that I stopped listening. It's the new framework then. What are we doing now? We're not reacting, we're not adding. What are we doing? First off, stop chasing the perfection. I stopped defending a set of rules. I started observing reality. Once I started to listen instead of force, everything began changing again. But not because I found another trick, because I finally changed the way I was paying attention. When I started this video, I told you about the carnivore system that worked until it didn't. Now that I've lived through it, I don't think that's actually what happened. Carnivore diet didn't stop working. My understanding of it did. I spent months assuming that because results had changed, something had gone wrong. So I chased the fixes, obviously. I think most of us do. You look at outside sources and they say, okay, well, maybe you need more butter, maybe you need more fat, maybe you're not eating enough, and maybe that is the case. I'm not saying that those things don't help or those things aren't fixes. Things that I kept adding in and the portions did give me hope. My results never changed. I wasn't gonna give up on the carnivore diet, but I changed. Reality doesn't stop, communicating information. Our body, our fatigue, our hunger levels, all of it. We just stopped listening. My body wasn't failing me. It was giving me information that my assumptions could never give me. Carnivore conscious isn't about defending the carnivore. It isn't about food recipes. It isn't about carnivore's the way, brother. It isn't about chasing perfection. Learning to become the observer, adapt, to stay aligned with your chosen reality instead of forcing reality to align with you, which will cause failure. Did I change some things? Yeah, I changed some things. Carnivore, chocolate pudding. I have a video about how I make primal pudding. It's just simply one of the things that I do now. I started to change my methods. All of a sudden, my energy levels came back. My recovery came back. Alignment came back. My workouts became excellent. The fat loss is going back down, going to align with my goal of 10 to 12% body fat comfortably, while still being carnivore. I changed my method because reality was giving me information. I started listening to the information, observing it, instead of forcing it. So what I actually did completely deserves another conversation because it's just too far to get into. In the next video though, I am going to show you how I do use these tools and different eating habits to get back aligned with my goal. Now, if you're new to carnivore and you're having these stalls, that actually just happens. But when you have the signals of zero energy, your mood is changing, your emotions are changing, that's reality knocking at your mother door. It's time to stop trying to fix or add. It's time to listen. So we'll talk about how I distribute the food, how I training. I'll get more into my body metrics and even calorie counts because I have tracked that, not from the beginning, but mostly from the beginning. Talk about why I think the version of carnivore that I'm currently living is more sustainable for vitality and abundance. It's more sustainable for the whole life. Might have benefits for you. Now, I'm not saying that these things are going to be the fix-all and whatnot, but I'm saying I'll show you how I've used them to get back to the point where I'm now back into the 13% range body fat and pushing hard again because I'm observing. Sometimes the answer isn't more discipline. Sometimes it's better observation. I'm Joe. This is the Carnivore Consciousness. If this stuff interests you and you're on the same journey I am, or you're on this journey, whether you're carnivore or not, because like I said, this isn't about food. It's about alignment. I just choose carnivore and whole food and healthy living in good choices, actions that align with my chosen reality without fighting it. Any of this interests you, please subscribe. Throw a like on there. If you want to see how I make the chocolate primal pudding, comment, send it. No artificial sweeteners, by the way. Next thing, you want to learn how to make the vanilla primal pudding, you can watch that video. I look forward to being on this journey with you guys, helping each other align with our chosen realities. Thank you.